Today I'm making a delicious vegan corn chowder. Summer is just ending and fall is around the corner, and it's the perfect time to make a corn chowder because you still can get that fresh corn from the farmer's market, and the nights are getting a little chilly for some of you around the world. Not here in LA yet. That'll be a couple more months. But if you can still grab the fresh corn, use fresh, and if not, use frozen. You just need 4 cups, and I do it in the winter time with frozen, and it's just as good. Today I'm using both because I like to take the fire roasted frozen corn and put it inside my chowder at the end to make it nice and chunky. But this is going to be a smooth soup, and then we add some boiled potatoes and some fire roasted corn in at the end. So it's really delicious and it's super easy. The pan is hot, and the first thing we're going to do is saute our onions because I always like to cook them first and make sure they're not bitter. So we're just going to chop them up. It doesn't really matter that they're really small yet because we're going to blend them in the blender. Love that sound. Okay, I'm going to add a little splash of veggie broth. I'm going to put the lid on, and while we're finishing up the onion, I'm going to get the cashews on this pan and put them in the broiler because we're going to roast them. And by the way, this soup is oil-free, and the cashews make for a delicious creamy chowder, and when they're roasted, they're even better. The key to roasting your cashews is don't forget they're in there and check them. You get busy doing other things, and next thing you know, they're black. And next, we take the corn off the cob. This can be messy. Now we need to measure our corn because we want about 4 cups. So there's 2, and we're going to put that right in. And whatever we don't have enough of fresh, we're going to use frozen. Time for the scrapers. And now let's add. Pretty darn good, but we're going to add more frozen at the end. A little more veggie broth. Just want to keep it from burning on the bottom. Okay, so let me grab the cashews. Look how nice they look. Now we have our roasted cashews, and they're going to go in the blender. But before we do that, let's get some more broth in there. We're going to add this whole broth right here. This is 4.5 cups. That corn and onion is nice and cooked, and it doesn't need to cook that much more, but we want to infuse the flavor, and that's why we're going to let it go for a while. Okay, so now let's add our spices. We've got the salt. Garlic is just cloves, but it's going to go in the blender, so I'm going to wait and put that later. And we've got smoky chili sauce, chili powder rather, pepper, smoky paprika, turmeric. Okay, that should be good. Let's stir that around. Take a look how that looks. Really delicious color. We're gonna make the cashews, and what we need to do is we need to blend these up really well. So we're gonna add the cashews and then a couple cups of broth in there to get it started, and eventually we add all the broth in there, but let's do that now. So roasted cashews. I'm just gonna put a little bit of the cilantro and the garlic. I only had 2 cloves. If I had more, I probably would have put 4. And now I'm gonna add some broth. The potatoes that we're gonna add at the end, they're already cooked. I just diced them and steamed them, but you can boil them. But I kept the water that I steamed them in, so there's a little bit, and I'm gonna add that in there. It has a nice little starch in there that will help. Now we're gonna blend that. Smooth. This is gonna be the creamy part that goes in, but we're adding all of the soup in here to make it creamy. We're gonna start spooning more of the soup into the blender. Might have to do it in 2 batches. Let's go ahead and blend some more. That is looking good. And I want to put a little more turmeric in it because I want to make the color. Because when you add the cilantro, it gives it a little tinge of green. So I'm going to add a little more turmeric, and then when we serve it, we'll just put some cilantro on the top. That's enough for the inside. Okay, now I want to transfer this to the bowl and do the rest of the soup. And now it's time to just add broth to thin it to the texture that you like. We're going to squeeze some lime. And we're going to put our potato in and another cup of the roasted corn because we're going to leave it whole. So those potatoes and corn are going to be chunky. The potatoes are cooked, but the corn's frozen, so we need to cook it only for about 5 or 10 more minutes and we're done. Now's a good time to give it a taste test on seasonings. Wow. That smoky paprika, that's the secret ingredient. Amazing. That's fantastic. And that roasted corn in there, that's a must. That's really delicious. It doesn't need anything just for me to eat it. So we're just gonna let this boil for maybe less than 5 minutes just to get that frozen corn nice and cooked and fresh. Okay, so I'm gonna put that lid on. We're gonna wait 5 minutes and then I'll be back and we'll do the taste test. And now for the best part, the taste test. So I garnished the soup. Look how beautiful the color is. And I garnished it with white sesame seeds. You could also use black and some fresh cilantro. And I sprinkled it with smoked paprika. So it looks beautiful and I can't wait. All right, let's give it a go. Wow, that's crazy good. And I love, look at, do you see how it's got the chunks of potatoes in there? And the smoked corn that I left whole? Oh my God, that's so good. Especially with those potatoes in there, but that smoky flavor is the best. I'm so happy that I added smoked paprika in there, but if you don't have any smoked paprika, get some, because that's good.